I'm on the rock, Jehovah guide me. I'm on the rock. They ain't the real McCoy. Them are just some baby boy. Gangsta for life. I really have to tune them, but I'm talking about Movado. Welcome back to SouFLoTV again, everybody. It is your host with the most. Today we're going to talk about Movado's son, because a new picture or new pictures of Movado's son behind bars has surfaced. Now we have to revisit the story of why he ended up behind bars and why Movado's son got a life sentence at 18 years old. All the specifications of how much time he must serve before he is eligible for parole and the situation leading up to the life sentence will be revealed in this story. So stick around. Now, I went back to revisit an old story just to get everybody on page. And it says, Dante Brooks, 18 years old, son of dancehall entertainer MAVADO, and his co-accused Andre Hines. They were sentenced to life in prison for murder in the Home Circuit Court today. Now, this article dates back to March 19th of 2021. Today, I'm doing an update. It is August 30th of 2024. Right, done so far into a life sentence. Dante, who is referred to as Brooks, who carries the same last name as his father, Movado, David Brooks. Dante was hit with a life sentence. On top of that, he was also sentenced to 15 years for illegal possession of a firearm, and he was sentenced to another 15 years for arson. So that is 30 years on top of the already life sentence, which in Jamaica at the time was 22 to 25 years. So we're thinking it would run about 50 years. His co-accused Andre Hines also was sentenced, but he got less time. He was sentenced to 17 years. He was also hit with 15 years for illegal possession of a firearm and 15 years for the arson as well. Luckily for Dante and luckily for his co-accused Andre Hines, their sentences handed down by Judge Leighton Pusey was ordered to be run concurrently, meaning he will do about 22 years before he is eligible for parole, and Hines, his co-accused, will do 17 years before he is eligible for parole. Now, this is not about Hines, this is about Dante Brooks, David Brooks, or Movado's son. His lawyer was top attorney Peter Champagny, and Peter Champagny at the time had promised that there will be an appeal. Now I'm wondering today, 4 years removed from the conviction, if they have been appealing the case. Peter Champagny back then said we have fertile ground on which to effect an appeal, and we respect the judge's decision, but we will be acting on the right of persons to challenge that ruling. Brooks and Hines were found guilty on 3 charges stemming from a 2018 home invasion in Cassava Peace, St. Andrew, that left Lorenzo Thomas dead. Now, the incident took place in 2018. Just to give everybody a timeline, the incident took place in 2018, allegedly, right? Brooks was not convicted until he turned 18 in 2021. So that tells you how old he was when the incident actually took place, right? So he must have been about 15 years old. Now, a lot of people at the time were saying, damn, that's cold for a 15-year-old. the details of the case. 15-year-old, that's wicked for a 15-year-old to do something like that. Like, that 15-year-old must be the devil's spawn. You know, the person involved, the father of the deceased individual who is involved, the father went to court. Lorenzo's father went to court and he testified. And he testified how his son was lured out of the house because they sent a girl that he liked, that he talked to. So when she came to the house, they thought, it's a girl. I'm people them. So he went to answer the door. The father testified in court that they ended up getting into a tussle at the door, them trying to push the door back closed while Movado's son and his co-accused were pushing the door to open the door to come into the house. They overpowered them and pushed the door open, according to the testimony given by the father. The father said he didn't care what they were going to do to him after, because they already killed his son, so it's like they killed him already too. But if it's the last thing he does, he will make sure that he testifies in court so that justice is served for his son. So he was there in court, and a lot of people were saying, boy, you're going to lose your life because I'm Movado's son and you testify open bareface. And the father said he didn't care. So he came to court and that was his testimony. I wasn't there. I'm telling my audience what transpired to get you up to par with the entire story. Now, asked why Brooks, who is Dante, why did he get more time in prison than his co-accused? The courts felt that the role of Brooks was more instrumental in carrying out the murder and the burning down of the house, or attempt to burn the house down, than his co-accused did. The father testified that he knew these boys from they were babies, from they were small. He said, these aren't people that are strange people to me. These are children that I watch grow up. I know them. And I was trying to reason with them even while they were killing my son. And he remembers the co-accused asking Dante what to do with him. And Dante gave the order to kill him. And that is when he killed my son right in front of me. And then he asked him what him should do with me, the man said. And Dante said, make him live. So he allowed me to live. Me say, you might as well kill me too. But they allowed me to live. They didn't kill me too. They also, at one point, where Dante said to the co-accused, Hines, member said the boss, saying want him head. And he began to use a dull knife or dull instrument to saw my son's head off his body in front of me. But it was too dull. It couldn't work. So it partially severed his head from his body. Now this is where the contention came up in the case in court, where they were saying, who is the boss that says he wants him head? And obviously it was a serious order, or taken literally, because they were trying to remove his head. This was the testimony of the father. So now it was under speculation that the boss was Movado. And Movado said he want him head. To give you a little more context to this story, Movado had visited Jamaica. Movado went to a certain part in Jamaica, around a cassava piece area. Apparently, an argument took place. Somebody felt disrespected. From what we heard, which I don't know if it's true, was that Movado smacked somebody in the face. When he smacked somebody in the face, that person shoot up the place with all intentions of shooting Movado. Movado had to take away himself. Now, Movado actually left the country immediately. I remember covering this story back in the day where it said that Movado ran to the police station first and made a report and then left Jamaica. But shortly after Movado left Jamaica, that same individual who was said to have been in an argument with Movado and shut up the place, Lorenzo Thomas, he was then killed and his house burnt. And a lot of people were saying, damn, Movado soldier them on the ground, they act fast, you know? Reprisal like right away for trying to shoot at Movado. And then we heard later on that it was Dante, Movado's 15-year-old son, that was involved in this at the time. And then everybody's mouth hit the ground like, holy shit. What? Nah, I think they're trying to scapegoat Dante. I think they're trying to set up Dante because Movado left the island and the authorities wanted Movado. You know, just like how Vybz Kartel was in prison, right? They wanted Movado in prison as well. And that would have been a story headline that would have been huge. Two top dancehall artists, because make no mistake about it, the other top dancehall artist in dancehall music is Movado. So for them to have Movado and Vybz Kartel in prison at the same time, that would have been like, whoa. But Movado made a quick escape. And Movado has not been back to Jamaica since. Giving context to the story, Movado's mom passed away. He didn't go to her funeral. He didn't go back to Jamaica. Movado has a huge mansion sitting on top of a hill in Jamaica. He has not been back to it. I've seen aerial views of it because somebody flew a drone over the area to show houses in the area. And the pool is green because nobody is taking care of it. The property is overgrown with grass and all kind of vegetation. The mansion looks from the outside like it's falling apart because nobody lives there and it's not being, kept up. The wider conversation was, why was Movado's son not enrolled in school? Why was Dante not living up at the mansion and out of harm's way or out of ghetto activities? How did he get involved in all this if his father is David Brooks, Movado, famous, rich, Movado? Now, during the trial, the prosecutor's evidence, first of all, let's talk about this part. When they asked why Hines got less time than Movado's son, the court already said because they felt, based on testimony of witness, that Movado's son played a more bigger role. He was the one who was given the orders. Obviously, he was the one who was in charge, and he was the one who set the pace for how this would all turn out. If he had said, let them live, they would have lived. The record also came back that Movado's son was on bail on another matter at the time that offense was committed, and that in that case it wasn't the same with Hines. Hines didn't have any criminal record, so to speak, but Movado's son was out on bail in another incident already. So there were rumors going around that Movado's son don't want to be no good person. He don't want to be, my daddy is rich. I could use my daddy money and go to school. I should be studying engineering and something else. I should come take care of the family's legacy. They said that Movado's son actually wanted to be a don. He wanted to be top shotter in the area. And that is the route that he followed. And he had a lot of yes men around him because of who his father was. So during the trial, prosecutors presented evidence that Movado's son and his co-accused were among 5 men who stormed into Thomas's house and shot him. Thomas's father, who was unharmed, he provided crucial witness testimony which included the gang's attempt to sever Thomas's head and the use of gasoline to set the body on fire and set the house on fire as well. The murder allegedly occurred a few days after Movado was reportedly shot at by a group of men in Cassava Peace community. Movado was not hurt in the incident, but according to Loop News at the time, Movado reported the incident to the Constant Spring police and then he left Jamaica shortly after. The Constant Spring police later issued a wanted bulletin for Movado after they swooped down on Movado's Norbrook residence in search of him for questioning regarding the upsurge of violence in the community. You fired shots after Movado, is nothing but chaos in that community after. Loop News back then reported that he had already left for the United States of America the night before the raid happened at his residence. Now, again, Movado has not been back to the island since. Even when they got his son and arrested his son after putting their investigation together, a lot of people were like, damn, wherever Movado is at, it was his situation that got his son into that situation. He need to go home and take care of his son. But of course, a lot of his fans and a lot of other people were like, him going back to Jamaica to take care of his son, what can he do? He can't free his son from lockup. He can only watch his son be locked up. And if it's about money, he can't make no money sitting in Jamaica just watching his son locked up. He's got to get to work. He's got to start pumping out music. He's got to tour and collect checks and use those checks to pay a high-powered attorney to save his son. So it seems like that's what Movado has been doing the whole time. Besides that, it's known that if Movado went to Jamaica, that the police would probably question him in the presence of his attorney and then probably hold on to him. But you know, a lot of us scratched our heads over the years and we said, Movado going to Jamaica, he's not a wanted man, because this is a murder, and it was a gruesome murder where somebody's head was partially severed, body set on fire, house burnt down, you know, with other occupants. Why wouldn't the Jamaican government work with the U.S. government to get Movado to be extradited back to Jamaica to face charges if he had any charges against him? But we noticed that nothing like that happened. So we thought, okay, then maybe Movado is not really on their radar like that. But all of that changed recently, because we just covered a story about an attorney in Jamaica named MAVADO, who I call Messy MAVADO, because she stole Movado's money. She talked to Movado about purchasing properties, and Movado gave her millions of dollars to purchase a property for him. And she stole the man's money, and no property was purchased. So he's going through the legal court system trying to get his money back. And they used his money that this attorney stole to try to bait him back into Jamaica. And they said that Movado should come to the island and clear the case up and get his money back from MAVADO. Movado got his attorney. So the attorney said, my client can actually do this through Zoom. You know, camera to camera. He doesn't have to be in the country. This is when the Jamaican JDF Defense Force says, or the law, the people who are involved in this says, that is true. He could, if he was not a wanted person. So Movado's attorney says, but he is not a wanted person. There was never any warrant issued for Movado to be brought in. They responded and said, yes, there was. And they actually went and found a warrant issued for Movado's arrest. So we did a follow-up to that said Movado is actually a wanted man in Jamaica. Because according to them, he is a wanted man. And because he is a wanted man, he cannot get his money from the lawyer. He has to come to Jamaica because he cannot use that, or he cannot, how should I say it? He cannot complete this case by Zoom. He cannot complete this case by camera. He has to be there in person because he has an outstanding warrant. Now, mind you, over all these years, we knew nothing of an outstanding warrant. The public didn't know. Movado himself didn't know because it wasn't a talk. I've followed this case closely, and there were no outstanding warrants known to us. But suddenly, as he tries to get his millions back from Masado, he can't get the money back unless he flies into Jamaica and clear that case up because he has an outstanding warrant. An outstanding warrant stemming from the same case involving his son. So following the verdict in January of that year, Movado said this is corruption. And he also contended that his teenage son and the co-accused Hines were not given a fair trial. He addressed the testimony of the father, and he said that this man also went on the stand and said that these same police officers who carried out the arrest of my son and my family from my home are working for me, and that he feared for his life. So in other words, Movado had some discrepancies concerning the case. He felt like his son did not get a fair trial. He felt like the father of the victim, or the alleged victim, kind of was coerced, maybe, or lied on the stand and said a bunch of things that didn't go that way. The same man who claimed he feared for his life still gave over 14 pages of statements. One of the things that was said, the inconsistencies in this man's statements only shed light on the corruption, Movado added. So the father, who said, if it's the last thing I do, well, they might as well kill me, call me dead already. And if it's the last thing I do is get justice for my son. Movado himself said the same man who said he feared for his life still gave over 14 pages of statements. Boy, it don't look too good. So fast forwarding now to today, and you will see pictures of Dante behind bars. And the pictures of Dante behind bars shows somebody who is acclimating to his environment. I mean, let's be honest. If he is in prison and he has 22 years to serve before he can get out of prison, there's nothing you can do. They didn't send him to college. They didn't send him to boys camp. They didn't send him to some relaxing place where he can actually be rehabilitated, so to speak. They sent him to prison. Everybody knows what prison is like. So Dante is in there fighting for his survival. He is in there doing the best he can by convict code to survive. That's how prison works. He is now 21 years old. And according to Yard Hype, now 21 years old Dante Brooks, who has been behind bars since 2018, in a newly surfaced photo of Brooks, seemingly taken from prison, he can be seen posing in a black and white sneakers, black jeans striped with white, and a tan t-shirt alongside a unknown individual. And it's not clear if the man beside Brooks is also an inmate or if this is one of him charging them and brethren them that went and looked for him or what. But that's the picture. Now, there were other pictures that were taken and released to the public before of Dante Brooks. And those other pictures were taken, I believe the last pictures that came out of him was 2 years prior to today, to now. And I won't say too much about the pictures. I'll just put the pictures out there so that people who know him or who knew him from growing up can look and see that, you know, he's still alive. He's growing. He went to prison pretty young. He's growing. But he's growing, sadly, he's growing behind bars. I don't know how the outcome of this is going to be. I don't know if this is going to be one of those cases where Dante does 10 years and then somewhere off of some technicality, you know, Peter Champagne is able to get an appeal that is successful and he's released. Or if we're looking at a case where MAVADO will continue to be famous, continue to tour the world, continue to build his legacy in music, and his son will just be behind bars for another 20 years. And if that's the case, then Dante will be in his 40s when he gets out of prison, right? Or close to it. He'll probably be about 38 to 40 years old when he gets out of prison. I'm not saying too much about the picture still. I'm just saying he's in his element. You leave your comments in the comment section below. Tell me what you think about this one, and I'll catch you on the next video. It's SouFLoTV. I'm out. Peace.